I've played fighting games before. I played a decent amount of Smash, and I had a brief relationship with Dragon Ball FighterZ. But Smash is a platform fighter, and I barely got past auto combos in fighters. My signature move was summoning the dragon just to annoy whoever I was playing with. But for some reason, Strive is different. Now let me preface this video by saying I'm not qualified to write a review about Guilty Gear, or any fighting game for that matter. At the time of making this video, I have about 45 hours of Strive, and I'm not particularly good at it. I'm hard stuck floor 8. But I can tell you why Guilty Gear Strive was the first fighting game I've really jived with. Now, it's not quite as immediately accessible as a game like Fighters due to the lack of auto combos, but honestly, the auto combos of Fighters put me off. It made it so that I felt like any combo I tried to learn was in spite of the combo system instead of because of it. And on top of that, because ArcSys had to make auto combos flashy, this meant that once players learned how to actually do damage, combos ended up taking 2 years to complete. What makes Strive fun to pick up and play out of the box is the insanely high damage. You might think that high damage would make it even easier for more experienced players to completely crush new players. And you would be right. Sometimes you get matched up against someone clearly better than you, and you're just stuck in the corner for the whole match. But when two new players go up against each other, every match feels tense, where either player could win at any moment. It's this immediately satisfying gameplay that makes you want to dig deeper into Strive systems. And when you do, you find numerous interesting systems that are easy to grasp for a new player, but complex enough to stay interesting for a long time to come. The most prominent of these is definitely the Roman cancel. The Roman cancel is far and away the coolest mechanic I've seen in a fighting game. There are 4 fun colors of Roman cancel, and I am smart enough to use exactly one of them. That being the red Roman cancel. When you land an attack on your opponent, you can spend half your meter to cancel your action, blow your opponent away, and slow down time for them. This puts you in extreme advantage for a moment and lets you essentially land another move for free. Just the red Roman cancel on its own lets you be flexible and creative with your combos, and allows new players to feel powerful. And that's without even mentioning Roman cancel drifting or Roman cancel cancels, which I am not good enough to use. The other 3 flavors of Roman cancel that I don't use are blue, purple, and yellow. Blue is your neutral Roman cancel and just slows down time. It seems like something only the really good players get use out of. Purple Roman cancels let you cancel moves without having landed them. I've only used this to block or dodge supers when I'm in a bad spot, but I'm sure it has more uses. And finally, yellow Roman cancels are meant to be for defense, but I don't think I've ever seen someone use one. Probably because from what I can tell, they're not very good, and games are short enough that you often have your burst for those sticky situations. The aforementioned burst, as well as bounce blocks, are your other defensive options, both acting as a get-off knee and costing some resources. But there's one mechanic that I don't particularly get, or I guess it's more accurate to say I don't pay attention to it. Do you see this little bar up here? This is your risk meter. From what I understand, the more you play defensively and block, the more it goes up, and when someone finally hits you, they do more damage, or don't have as much damage fall off, or something like that. If it sounds like I don't really get it, that's probably because as far as I can tell, the game doesn't really explain it. But aside from risk, Guilty Gear Strive has mechanics that aren't too hard to pick up the basics for, and feel satisfying even at a low level of play. Well, when you're finally done connecting to the servers, that is. With how long it takes to initially connect to the servers, and how often you can't connect to opponents online, you would think the online would be awful. But no. The actual online matches are so buttery smooth with rollback netcode that you forget that you're playing online. Coming from Smash Ultimate, where I started not playing online because of how bad it was, it's an actual godsend. I just wish everything around it was good. If your game takes as long as GTA 5 to launch, you fucked up. It goes without saying that the game looks beautiful and sounds even better. There's not much to say about how the game looks that you can't see just by looking at the footage that's been playing throughout the video. But the soundtrack is something else. This game might just have my favorite soundtrack, period. Guilty Gear has always had badass metal music, and I'm glad that this game introduced me to it. And I'm so happy they finally put more than just smell of the game on Spotify. The character design and feel are top notch, with every man being so buff I question my own sexuality. Each character feels incredibly distinct, each serving as their own niche. We have the annoyingly fast characters, the slow boys, the all-rounder, and my character. That's right, I play the most brain-dead character in the game. There's also the characters nobody wants to play against, the weird ones, and several other characters who all fill their own niches perfectly. When I first started playing, I wanted to be a Chip main, but then I realized that Chip actually required me to think, but was also the squishiest character in the game, bar none. So I picked up Soul, because of his easily understandable basic combos, high damage, and wealth of interesting moves that I totally use all the time. And the full screen command grab super didn't hurt either. By the way, it's called Heavy Mob Cemetery, and I don't think that means anything, but it just sounds badass. I'll play some other characters occasionally, like Nagoriyuki or Chip, and while I'm not very good with them, it's still fun to play such radically different characters. Because the game's still new, there's probably going to be a decent amount of DLC characters that haven't come out yet, and for the ones that already have come out, I don't think I played against a single Gold Lewis online, and I despise playing against Jackos. Despite not getting into fighting games in the past, I'm really enjoying Strive, and I think I'll keep liking it until all that's left are the really sweaty players.
Perfect! 手はかけさせやがって。
Soul win.